A very common complaint amongst the Murder Drones community is the pacing of the show. The first 3 episodes are extremely well paced, but episode 4 is very slow. And episode 5? Well... Episode 6 was also relatively well paced, but episode 7 some would argue is way too quick. Most people would agree that the gap between episodes 4 and 5 is pretty drastic, and an episode placed between them would have been pretty helpful. And that, my dear viewer, is what today's video is about. So, in case you've been living under a rock, Murder Drones Intermission is a fan episode that takes place between episodes 4 and 5. The word intermission means break, and this episode is essentially a filler episode. Now, many people would hear that word and think that it's a pretty bad thing, but Intermission is actually one of the best fan projects out there, if not the best. I really shouldn't have to say this, but I will anyway. This entire video will spoil all of Intermission for you, so please go check it out in case you haven't already. I'm gonna quickly summarize all of Intermission, so if you don't want to hear any of that, skip to this time on the screen. So without further ado, here's why Murder Drones Intermission is a damn near flawless fan project. The episode begins with Uzi having a nightmare. She then subsequently wakes up N and V. N really wants to teach Uzi how to fly, but V is very uninterested. Which, honestly, is a pretty fair reaction. You know, considering the fact that she nearly died to her. A lot of people seem to skip over that fact, but I haven't forgotten. And I don't think V forgot either, because she's very passive-aggressive towards Uzi.
You know, if we really want to take care of our little feral emo girl problem, what we could do instead is blow her brains out.
V makes it very clear that she's very aggressive towards Uzi, rightfully so in my opinion. After a lot of begging and convincing, N manages to get V on board. We then see the gang atop the spire, and N kinda yeets Uzi for like the 3rd time.
Uzi. Okay, your turn! Whoops! Easy there, buddy. Ow! Up we go! And up you go!
Oh, if she goes splat, call dibs on her corpse.
She'll be fine.
Still falling!
Yeah, he's not the brightest. We then see a really cool and, quite frankly, peak montage. And we get quite possibly the best joke inside the entire episode. After the montage, Uzi decides to try and fly by herself. It goes pretty smoothly, well, until this happens. The Absolute Solver fully possesses Uzi, and things go south very quickly. V then has quite possibly one of her best moments in the entire show.
We need to blast her.
What? We can't do that!
And shut up and listen! If you want a chance to salvage your goody two-shoes plan, then you need to blast her! If she's anything like us like you said, she'll just shut off and reboot.
But
Do you want me to help you make this work or not? Come on.
okay.
Excellent voice acting, by the way. After getting N on board, V decides to take things into her own hands. Which, just like most things she does, doesn't go according to plan.
Fatality.
Oh my god, V!
You are done!
God, I fucking love that scene. Uzi then uses more of the Absolute Solver's powers, and N is kind of in trouble. He gets thrown around like a ragdoll, and ultimately he has no choice but to shoot Uzi. Very reminiscent of what she did to him in episode 1. After reviving herself, N decides to go and hug Uzi, but V doesn't really like that.
V, no! Go to hell!
N freaks out, but V makes a pretty good point.
Why did you do that?
And we did things your way, and it didn't work. So now we're doing things my way.
You can't kill her. She didn't mean to go crazy.
Oh, so she can beat us senseless and we're just supposed to be okay with that. I see. This was a bad idea from the start. But you didn't want to listen to me because you're so insistent on fixing her.
Because she's our friend.
She's your friend.
V is done with N's shit and decides to go chase after Uzi, which puts him into even more of a panic. After tracking her down, V finds Uzi, but she just can't bring herself to do it. She looks at Uzi, scared, afraid, and alone, and she sees herself inside of her. V knows that Uzi is just like her, and after some careful consideration, they decide to make up. Oh, yeah, I'd like to point out that the chat was spamming Voozy, which, I mean, I really shouldn't be surprised, but that is certainly a thing to say during this very emotional moment. N finally catches up, and is relieved that they're actually getting along for once. They all group hug, and then they decide to go back to the spire. After having a pretty interesting chat, Uzi gets pushed off the spire once again. Though this time, she actually can fly on her own. The episode ends with the gang being very happy. And with that, the recap is over. Let's talk about Intermission and how it's a damn near flawless fan project. There is a lot I could say about each individual character, and I'm gonna do exactly that, so buckle up. And in this episode is without doubt one of the best highlights. A major complaint in canon is how one-sided his relationship is with Uzi. But in this episode, he actually doesn't always take Uzi's side. In fact, he takes V's side for once. N in canon almost never sides with V, and it is extremely infuriating because he said this inside episode 1.
I actually kind of have a crush on her.
You can't tell her, okay?
Now, listen and listen very carefully. I really don't care about shipping, but Envy is borderline non-canon after episode 3. And that kinda sucks, cause it's a pretty prevalent ship inside the pilot. Oh yeah, V also died, quote-unquote, in episode 6, but we will get to that eventually. Anyways, going back to N real quick. My favorite scene from him would have to be when he shoots Uzi. It is such a powerful character moment that the canon show just, you know, never gives him. Besides being the comedic relief character, N really does not have a personality. The most you'll see from him is his loyalty to Uzi and him fighting with V and J, and that's literally just it. Intermission N plays the middleman, and he does it very, very well. Essentially, he thinks with his brain and not his heart for once. Uzi is the one I have to say the least about, but that doesn't mean she's bad necessarily. Uzi is surprisingly very tame in this episode. Well, up until this point. But afterward, she's still pretty, level-headed. It's a side of her we rarely ever see, and that's a damn shame right there. Uzi is such a polarizing character due to her gremlin behavior. So getting her to actually be chill for once is such a breath of fresh air. The portrayal of Uzi here is spot on, and I absolutely adore it. I can't quite put my finger on it, but she has the right balance of edgy and actually being cool this episode. It's a real shame that the real show doesn't give us more of this Uzi. Oh yeah, not to mention, Bald Uzi is peak. In fact, it may just be my favorite variant of Uzi, so that is that. Well, it's time to talk about the very big one. V. This fan episode single-handedly improved V's character tenfold. Compared to the V that we actually have, it is a night and day difference. V in Intermission actually feels like a character, and she actually does stuff in the plot. This basically is her episode, and, that's what we needed inside the canon. The scene that literally everyone's been talking about is the scene where V sees herself inside Uzi. It is such a powerful character moment that the canon show just doesn't have. Seriously, think about it for just a second. In episode 4, V nearly gets killed by Uzi. In episode 5, she does nothing. And in episode 6, she says this?
Uzi, I trust you.
Are you fucking serious? Quite literally in the previous episode, you pulled a chainsaw out on Uzi. Where the fuck is the trust coming from? My point being that Intermission V is literally what all V fans wanted. When she snaps,
You are done!
It feels powerful because she's been dealing with everyone else's bullshit for the entire show. She has spent the better part of 5 episodes repressing all these feelings, and she's finally letting all of it out. It recaptures her sadistic personality from episode 1, but it also adds on to it. It's an extremely well-written character moment because it feels earned. Ever since episode 2, the amount of bullshit that V's had to deal with has slowly gotten worse and worse over time. In episode 2, she was chained up to a chair and just kinda left to rot. In episode 3, she was backstabbed by Lizzie and then she nearly died to Doll. And like I said previously, she nearly died to Uzi inside episode 4. All of that was in her head throughout the entirety of this episode, and once again, when it happens, it feels extremely earned. Throughout the entire show, we literally never see things from her perspective, and it's very frustrating. To say that V needed this episode would be a complete understatement. And this should really go without saying, but V's death works infinitely better with this context. V and Uzi don't really have a strong dynamic, and their chemistry feels very limited. Most of their interactions go something like this. Oh, I hate you, stop trying to steal N. Oh, I hate you too, and N's mine, he has a crush on me, okay, N likes rocks, bye bye. So, yeah, that's kinda why this scene is pretty peak. It establishes that there's no more hostility between V and Uzi, and it's really good setup for what's to come. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about the placement of the episode. Intermission takes place between episodes 4 and 5 for a reason. The reason being that the gap between episodes 4 and 5 is very drastic, like I said earlier. It's almost like we're not seeing the entire picture, and that is exactly why intermission exists. It acts as a bridge, a stepping stone, a segue, an almost seamless transition between episodes. And beyond that, the placement of it is even more genius for another reason. Having a slice of life episode right before a very exposition-y lore episode is just genius. It gives the viewer and the characters a chance to actually cool down and relax. It's the calm before the storm, essentially. Albeit, it's a very comedic storm, but it's still a storm nevertheless. Having said that, nothing is flawless, and I do have some very minor gripes with intermission, so let's make this kinda quick. Uzi getting possessed in this episode kinda undermines what happens in episode 6. What makes it really stand out in episode 6 is the fact that it's really unexpected. Now, if intermission's canon, we already knew that she was gonna get possessed anyway, so it doesn't hit nearly as hard. Another very minor gripe I have is the actual ending of the episode. Compared to the rest, it doesn't fit in. Every episode ends with a cliffhanger. Some are obviously bigger than others, but the point is that they're all cliffhangers. A quick fix just would have been this. Have the gang about to enter the zombie drone tape, but then have Sin say something really ominous. I mean, hell, you could just have her say,
"Did you miss me?"
And I think that would work very well. Now, with all that out of the way, there's one more thing I have to say. Out of sheer respect for the creator, I have to really get a point across. Please, just for the love of God, stop comparing this to the actual show. Now, really, don't get the wrong memo here. Obviously you can compare the two, but don't compare them in a way that makes one look better or worse than the other. One of them is an indie show, and the other one is a fan project of said indie show. The fan project isn't trying to surpass or be better than the actual show. It's just trying to expand and elevate the universe that Liam laid out. There is a very big difference between complimenting something and complimenting something just to make something else look bad. So just don't do the latter. Now, on a much more positive note, this project single-handedly united the entire MD fandom, and, well, when I tell you that literally everyone I've spoken to about it likes it, I really am not kidding. Did you like Intermission?
Yes. Absolutely. It was wonderful.
I did like Intermission.
Yeah, I did like it. I didn't expect that I would like it this much, that I do actually.
Oh, of course I did. It was, I loved watching it. Like, the whole thing was, wonderfully put together. Like, honestly, if I didn't know any better, it was like, that would be canon.
Oh, hell yeah. I absolutely loved it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was good enough to practically be canon.
Absolutely.
It was very good in the sense that, like, even as someone who doesn't really watch, like, the fan projects a lot on YouTube, I had just heard about it and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this, I gotta see how good it is, and yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised.
Why?
So, it's added something to the entire series that has been missing for a very long time, primarily being development for V, and the ending of Intermission, additionally, actually, in my opinion, made 5 more worthwhile.
Stronger.
Because, yes, stronger, right? Because even though 5, I have controversial opinions on it, I know you do.
I'm sure most of us do.
Yeah. But the thing is, something I felt 5 really struggled with is it felt meaningless in the scope of the rest of the series. It felt like it was explaining things to the viewer, and there was very little reaction outside of the episode on everything that was learned in 5.
Like, it was a really good transition, and I think that's why I loved it so much. It just worked. Like, it kind of fit in there perfectly.
Fixed up issues I have both with episode 4 and episode 5.
It was just something that we needed. Like, Murder has been kind of dry at the moment, so it's just a good thing to fill the void, you know?
I mean, it's exactly what the show needed. Like, filler episodes between episodes.
Well, a number of reasons, really, but honestly, the main one was that it made, like, my least favorite episode by far, which is episode 5, actually have the hour, yes. Hour, yes. Yeah. Apologies. Our least favorite episode, episode 5, have a not only reason to exist, but also this elevates it by quite a bit.
The thing that blew me away about it was how good it was, like how solid actually fits into the show. It was absolutely stunning.
I could give the YouTuber answers of oh, well, it filled in these gaps between episodes 4 and 5 and did all this to benefit the story and the characters, but honestly, I think it was just it did a good job telling a story that was entertaining and had you wanting to know what was going to happen next. A lot of even for being an animatic style, a lot of the action, the fight scenes were pretty cool and all that. So I'd say overall it was just a really well-made product.
If you had to rank Intermission on a scale from 1 to 10, what would it be and why?
9 out of 10. You see, the 9 out of the 10 is for, number 1, it being out and I still have rose-colored glasses. And only a 9 because it's not canon, and that makes me sad.
I think Intermission, in terms of how much I enjoyed it on a first-time viewing and also on repeat, is 7.5 or an 8.
I'm gonna put it, say solid 7 out of 10.
Oh god, I don't... It's definitely really, really high up there.
For sure, yeah.
9 or 10.
I'd give it a solid 8.5.
I'd say 8.
Compared to other episodes, I'd give it a 6.5, 7.
6.5 or 7, damn. That's actually been the lowest score.
Damn.
I would give it probably a good 7.
I think it's safe to say you are one of the biggest V fans out there, for better or for worse.
What gave you that idea?
I don't know, man.
I don't think she's really had moments to shine since the pilot. The closest we got, I think, after that was episode 6.
I know, dude. It's the literal poster child of the entire franchise is just getting shafted.
Exactly, and
horrible.
Not by me.
Bro.
Such a shame.
So, yeah, people really like Intermission. Now, I got a bit of a treat for you guys. I've actually had the pleasure and the honor of getting to talk with 2 of the team members who worked on Intermission. The 2 team members in question are RSpace and Zander Russell. Without further ado, let's roll the clip. So, Mr. RSpace.
Hello.
Hello. You worked on Intermission. You made the music.
Indeed, I did for a single scene, but it was still very cool.
Well, I mean, being involved in the project is just, I imagine that's a really high honor to have. Just having your name.
I was stoked. I know, recognition is such a cool thing.
It really is. Yeah. The music is really slept on, in my opinion. Okay. So, if I may ask, what was it like working with the team of Intermission?
Working with B and doing and working in Intermission and seeing behind the scenes stuff that people wouldn't, and like knowing like, hang on, this actually might be really big, is like it's such a rewarding and just like an amazing feeling when you finish everything, you know.
I bet, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So I rambled a bit there.
Nah. We love rambling. It's
Fair enough. Yeah. The ramble channel.
Yeah, of course, dude. With everything in mind, right? How do you think Intermission is going to age?
I think it's going to age really well because it's like faithful to the original show without changing to it. It's like it fits quite well into the actual lore.
You have any last words, parting words to the viewers, maybe?
Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, or because I'm being held hostage. No, I'm just kidding. Please subscribe to Yaxi. He's very cool.
Okay. That's not what I expected, but
yeah, he's very cool, and he let me do an interview. And I'm flattered, and thank you very much.
But thank you for producing the fucking amazing music in Intermission, bro.
Really?
It's like, dude, you fucking killed it.
That's very kind of you.
That's just right.
Sweet. Okay, I'm gonna do a funny.
Oh yes, I was informed that you do like turning on your webcam.
If it, yeah.
Hello.
Who told you?
RSpace. Yeah.
Well, I have nothing to hide here, so.
Your part in Intermission, right? You made several OSTs. What was that like? Just being involved in such an ambitious project.
It was definitely interesting because I haven't been able to do something like that before, but it was awesome to be able to do that. So yes, I made 3 tracks for Intermission. I can't recall the names off of them the top of my head, but yeah, there was 3 songs that I made, and then the rest were made by some awesome other composers, and then everyone else on the team was awesome as well.
So, B, right, the creator, has gone on record saying that she doesn't like how people are like complimenting Intermission to con on the actual show, right?
Right.
What do you think about people who do that, who will just praise something to tear something else down?
I think that's not how people should be doing things. Because, like, sure, this work is cool. People like this, like, piece of work that's been done. But if it's like a fan work, then it's just like, oh, this is better than the actual show. That's not something that should be said. It's like, you should treat everything as equal. Like, sure, you can dislike something and like something else, but to say it's something better and like that this should be part of the actual show is, I just find it degrading to that. Whenever I see that, it's like, okay, like that's what you want to say, but like say it in something that doesn't bring down the original work.
In your personal opinion, given your experience with Intermission and just in the MD fandom in general, how do you feel Intermission's gonna age? Like, the show's over, maybe it's been a couple years?
I feel like when everything's done and over with, they'll definitely come back to Intermission and be like, hey, this is a cool thing that was made for this. Like, it's something to come back to once the full show's done.
I seriously don't think I've heard anyone like hate or not like Intermission. They've always had something positive to say. You know, it's really rare for the community to be that united behind something.
Yeah, as you've said, I haven't seen anyone say anything like negative at all. Just been like saying some suggestions, like what could have been done differently. Like, you know,
I
constructive criticism.
Yes,
that's what we need.
It's very, very needed for projects like these to improve, to grow. You know, you can't just come out the bat swinging. You're not gonna like strike gold immediately.
Yeah, everything takes time, and that's why we have people giving feedback on other projects behind the scenes.
Exactly.
So it's like, it could be the best thing it could be.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers right before we sign off?
Follow B. She did an amazing job putting all of this together. Follow all of the other amazing people who are part of this, and just like support all of them. Come on, they're amazing people. I'm glad I got to work alongside of them, and even though I didn't talk with many of them that much, I'm sure they are amazing people, and you should just give them all the support you have.
First, we'll try the baby bird method. Toss you off and let your instincts do the rest.
Wait,
And up you go!